There we go. Okay, so welcome. I'm Diane Neubauer, or Dugenze, and this is a very impromptu thing. I don't have a real polished presentation. I do have a list of things that I want to cover, and I'll show you my whiteboard. So if you are suddenly going to be teaching world languages online and using Zoom to do it, this will be more applicable to you. So things I wanted to be sure to cover were like some general expectations, like how does it feel? And what might your students have questions about right away, and what you can do to maybe make the process of meeting online a little smoother for yourself and for them. And then some basic features in Zoom, and then how I use them to do some classic CI stuff like TPR and picture talk, and then just like what do you do with interactive talking, like calendar talk or weekend chats or asking stories, stuff like that, because it does feel different. And I think if you have a big class, we're going to test something that maybe will help with getting those ideas without being overwhelmed by too many people at once. And then I'll talk about recording classes. And then this is really good because you can actually record in Zoom even if you don't have a meeting with people in it. But if you do have that meeting and not everybody is there, or even if they are, it's really helpful to record that class and then share that with them somewhere, so they can use it as a second chance to review the class period, or if they were not able to come, they have access to it later. I do that every single time I meet for class online, so it helps. And then I'm going to show screenshots from within the Zoom settings, because I hadn't learned a lot of these. Like some I just was checking out today. But I think there's a few of them that, especially if you have younger kids and you're concerned about things like, will they send private chats to each other that are bullying messages? Like, I hope no kid ever does that. But there are ways to turn those features down a bit, and I'll show those on the screen. So the first thing, I guess I will start with, let me tell you what I've got here. So I uploaded this nice photo of a bridge in Toulouse, France, that I took last summer. That this photo is something that I selected. So for Picture Talk, one of the ways that I end up doing it is just posting it on a green screen background. I can switch it, and I'll show you on my screen like what I'm seeing to be able to do this shortly, but just so that you can see it happen. Here's one of my favorite vegetables. And okay, I've got another one. I'll save that one for a little bit later. So when I'm doing something like Picture Talk and I want it really big, I just look at my video window on my computer screen. Like you can see I'm not looking at the picture. When I do that, I can like use the screen view on my computer to point to stuff. And then I can glance around at the students' video windows to see their responses. So as you all found, I see you've got the chat window open, so you have typed some things in there. That is super helpful. I think too, let's see if we've got chats. So you've got, yes, you can send chats to everyone. Or can you send a chat directly to me and privately to anyone who is on this? Yeah, okay, that's a setting you can change. You can adjust it so that people cannot send to the whole group, or you can send out but they can't, and stuff like that. So remind me if I don't get to that to show those things. So let's see, general expectations. I've already mentioned before we started to record, just that feeling of like I'm down this long tube and everybody is now this big, and you used to be able to feel the energy of a room or really be able to read body language, and all of a sudden those things are kind of wiped away. And so one of the things I found was helpful, two things that helped with that, just telling students that that's going to be what it feels like, probably. Like it's going to feel more distant and weird and awkward. So even though you're seeing people, it just feels a little bit fake, I think. And maybe they're more used to it than those of us who did not grow up texting and constantly using our phones. And so they may not have as big a deal. They might be doing lots of video chats already, I don't know. But it still felt different because I was so used to classroom teaching, and then doing things online still had that kind of artificial feel to it, even when it was people I knew already. So I think that's a big advantage, that you already know your students if you're now suddenly going to be teaching online. that can be helpful to kind of know you have that strong relationship already, and then you can build off of that to kind of overcome the awkward feeling of being down this like long plastic tube. So let me see, the general expectations there. The other thing is things like knowing that people's internet will go out, knowing that there'll be sounds in the background, and so sometimes in a different way than in the classroom, you don't necessarily want to have students with their mics on all the time. Practicing that kind of thing with them, showing them how that works, making sure that they understand that whatever is in their video camera view is seen by everybody, so that they don't do stuff they don't want to be on camera. Yeah, and then thinking about it as a teacher, like I imagine my 6th and 7th graders years ago that I taught, like I would want to be sure I could kind of screen some of the things that they do. So just knowing that, you know, if you need to, you can, in this case, unlike in a classroom, you can mute a student. You can block their video window if you had to. And then let's see the other things about like what you're just seeing in the general window. We talked about speaker and gallery view, right? Talked about the chat window. Sometimes people have said they use that chat window instead of like a whiteboard. I'm going to show you how I don't and why. So in my language particularly, or the way that I teach, like I want to go back and be able to point to the words again and again and again. And when I had it in the chat window, it was like it kept scrolling. So there was no way to do it, and I couldn't constantly retype the new word. It was way easier for me to just physically have a whiteboard like that and point to the word right there, just still going old school with it. The thing I've done when I haven't been at home is a piece of cardstock and a Sharpie. So one of the other things I found is that any color other than black on white did not really show up clearly on the video window, at least on the whiteboard. On paper, I think it's a little bit better. And I prepared things like my question words, and I'll put them here because I want to keep them ready all the time. So rather than having them up on posters like I might in the classroom, I just have one small 8.5 by 11 sheet. And when I need one of those, I duck down like that because I'm working at a little tiny standing desk. If I had a big table, it could be more subtly done, I guess. But let's say I want to use the word shenma. One of the other things I found was pointing. I still want to be able to see what they see. So I get it in the window. And so I'll do like point, pause, and point looks like this more. And then sometimes I'll tap there to draw their attention to the meaning of the word that I'm showing. Up here, it's more like your normal classroom, and you can just kind of put your hand under there to pause and point. But when it's on paper, it was a little different. Let's see, another thing that I ended up doing, and you'll see what happens when you have green screen on. Yeah. So if I have my green screen on, my green on my colors kind of flashes in and out a little bit, kind of weird. So be aware, if you have the green screen background on, you're going to have these kinds of weird things happen to there. You can turn it off. So let me turn it off and I'll show you. And I'm going to show you where to do all that. So it just got solid, right? It turned into the green. And there's my actual piece of fabric. If you're looking for how to do that though, Zoom doesn't require absolutely that you have a green colored background. There are ways to select any color that's in your background, and it'll make that color into the image that you have loaded. So let me see on my list of things to do. It's a little more complicated. Let me do that in a bit. That sound okay? Okay. So yeah, one of the other things is like reading people's responses gets to be pretty subtle. So like telling kids like they really need to use a lot of body language or like give you a big thumbs up and that kind of thing. They also need to be much more proactive if they are lost. And so working with them to help you be the better teacher and keep the language comprehensible by, like I do this normally anyway. If you have some kind of a hand signal that they use to show that they need you to clarify something, Make sure that you can practice it right then again, because they're online. It's not going to feel the same as when they did it in the classroom. So, and then the other thing that's cool is if they don't want to tell the whole class, they can send you that private chat message and nobody else sees it. So that's one of the nice little advantages of being online, if you want to make sure that they will tell you when they need the help. And then you can just go back and clarify what you need to. Right, so I think we've kind of hit general expectations, hit some of the basic meeting features. Before I show like picture talk a little bit more in depth, do you have questions? And you can unmute yourself. I don't have too many people on the video window if you want to unmute and talk. Let's see, I see Annie.
One thing I wanted to point out is I'm noticing that everybody put their name in a very comprehensible way in when they signed in. I've been on Zoom sessions where people put some funny,
and kids might find that. You're thinking perhaps, yeah,
right.
Yeah. In the lower left corner of your own video screen, it is a right click, and you can do things like pin the video. Rename is the one that you're looking for. And let me see if I can give Annie a new name. Yeah, looks like I can.
Where is the, okay, so maybe that's only on the speaker or the teacher's.
Yeah. Do you see that I changed your name?
Not Annie.
Yeah, I'll change you back. How's that? But if that's nice to know. I knew I could, but I hadn't remembered it, so I'm glad you brought it up. Again, if you hope that kids are like, they're just needing to have a connection with people face to face, even if it's not in person, and they're not going to think of this stuff. But the longer that you end up maybe doing online teaching, if you have virtual meetings like these, maybe the more likely those things might come out. So being proactively aware of that will be helpful.
Very definitely. Oh, sorry guys. I was going to say very definitely that is a factor. And another thing that will happen is sometimes if the device is shared, the parent has done something for work and it'll say Fred, and you're thinking Fred.
Yeah.
Or if they're joining on a phone, very often the phone decides its name is iPhone. Or Android device, and then you have to find out who that is, and then you can change the name. But the ability to change the name is one of the things that I do like about Zoom.
Yep.
Can I ask a question about? I'm sorry. Can I ask a question about the green screen? I've used it. So is that an app that you have that?
No, it's green, and I'm going to share my screen view so that you see where I'm selecting that, and that's kind of what I'm aiming for. I think after TPR. Because TPR is
okay. All right.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll do that shortly. And I'm seeing in the chat window a bit of some comments and stuff. Yeah, somebody said, oh, La says, don't wear green. Yeah, probably don't wear green. Yeah, let me show you too. Like, again, I realize you haven't seen the view, but just so you know what it can do. Let's say I don't have a green screen. I just told it in a setting, I don't have a green screen, but I want to try using it. Hey, not so bad, right? It kind of picks it up anyway. It's just a little bit less reliable than if you do have a green screen background.
Yeah, I see Sophia Chen has a green screen behind her in the video.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and do that, because one of the things that you can change, and I can allow you to have this setting on or turn it off. You can change your virtual background. If you look down at the bottom of your own video window, it should say something about stop video if you have your video on. And you can select different options. Like, yeah, I see Paulino is now in space. So yeah, that's awesome. I tell you what, I'm going to pick a green screen image that we can do for.
Where do we find it?
It's next to the stop video button. There's a little up arrow pointing thing, and
it looks like that.
You click on that, and then you have a choice to do that. If too many people do it, it will crash, especially when it's under load. So I tell my students, please don't. But then I have a friend who I talk with once a week on Zoom because he's in Japan right now, and he always has some beautiful view of cherry blossoms and things that are virtual, which is fine.
Yeah. Okay. Let me show you TPR, and then we'll go into the green screen in earnest. That sound good? TPR will be fast, but you might think, well, you could do all the normal TPR stuff. You want to just back up, remembering that if, like me, I don't have a mic on the lapel, so the farther away I get from my computer, the lower my volume will be. But keeping that in mind, you can do all the normal stuff, but you can do some things in TPR online that you can't do. So let's see, I'm seeing people that I think I know live in the US. So all the people who live west of the Mississippi, make your right hand big. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You've got it. Yeah. If you live east of the Mississippi, look up. Yeah. Okay. Cool. And we find out where people are from. Although your students should probably all be in the same place, right? Let's see. Everyone make your left hand very small, but your right hand huge. Your left hand very small, and your right hand huge. Yeah. So yeah, cool. You can also do fun things with stuffed animals. So your stuffed animal, put your stuffed animal on top of your head, put your stuffed animal to the right of you. Your stuffed animal kisses you. So you have access to every kid's favorite stuffed animal immediately. Like, use those kinds of props. Your stuffed animal is bigger than you. Right? Your stuffed animal is very, very tiny. Right? So like some of those kinds of things, like it took me a while to think like movie people do with camera like views. So hopefully that can be a kind of a cool thing that's really simple to do and fun. Oh, I did think of one other general expectation thing that I forgot to say. Was like, when I teach online, I teach once per week for each class. And I know some people are being expected to meet at the normal time with their class every day through the week. I think that's a little unreasonable, to be honest. But if that's what you're required to do, it is. But if you have the option to not do that and just meet simultaneously, like synchronously like this, maybe once a week or twice a week, I think that's probably more realistic. And then you can give them things to do that they would be working somewhat independently during the class period. You can have them do those things on their own time and make them available. So, and I have a couple ideas for that kind of stuff too. And I'm sure some of you are already working on stuff that is way cooler than what I've done with that. So, so there's TPR. Let me show you green screen. So I'm going to share my video window and share computers. I don't need to share computers. Okay. I think you should end up seeing my video window. Are you seeing my desktop with a photo of chickens and a bunch of stuff? Yeah. Now I realize sharing my video window means I didn't get my Zoom screen on, and that's the one that I wanted. So I'm going to turn off share and see if I can do that a different way. Hello. Oh, I have a guest. We have a special guest. This is another fun thing. Like, I've done this before. Hello, Fanny Price. Hello, big girl. How are you? So I raise chickens. If you can bring your pets into the thing, or you have a helpful spouse who is willing to help you sometimes with your teaching meetings, that can be super fun. So things that you couldn't do in a classroom, like to bring like real life stuff in, you could do, theoretically, at least, if you're able to teach from home like that and you have that flexibility, and you have a dog or a cat or a chicken like this. So
mongoose.
Mongoose. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so okay, let me try again with sharing my video window. Yeah. The other thing is I always worry about like this kind of pause in class times, like, because I think I'm looking like so intently because I'm like reading stuff on my screen real closely. I don't know how to avoid that though. And I am seeing that I may not be able to show you what I wanted to show you. I know how to solve it. Okay. I'm going to take a screenshot of what we've got on screen right now and then point to that picture and you will see what I'm talking about. Okay. Hang on 1 second. Had I realized this was going to happen, I would have prepared this in advance, but this is all new stuff for me too in a lot of ways. Okay, I think I've got it. Yeah. And now I will share that with you. So I just took a screenshot of what I'm looking at when I'm looking at all of you. And now, theoretically, you should see that still shot of all of our video windows. Does that sound like you're seeing that? So down in the lower left corner, when I use green screen, it's this thing here. And it's the same like virtual background. Let me go into that and then I'll take another screenshot and show you where I'm doing stuff to get something on the background. So bear with me again as I take another snip. Oh. Let's see. Okay, and now I will share that screen. Oop. Right. Okay, and theoretically now you see the snipping tool window where I've taken a screenshot of what I look at when I have the green screen options open. So I've selected modify a virtual background or add a virtual background. Select a virtual background. On here it says, a solid color background is required, but you just saw it handle the 2 colors I had behind me. So test it. It may work for you. In this location, it says add image. That's where I uploaded different kinds of pictures. So I have several in there now, places, objects, stuff like that. If I don't want them, I can remove them later on. In the middle of class, I can just switch between photos as well. And then here is like that, manually pick the color of the background if the detected color is not accurate. It'll try to automatically find something in your background and fill it in with the image. But if you don't have it do that automatically, you can tell it, well, this color is the one. And it's, it's pretty good. So you don't absolutely have to have green fabric or paper behind you, but it is a little more stable. Let me think if there's anything. Yeah, okay, so then with Picture Talk with that, it's kind of like being somebody who tells the weather and looks at the map. So again, I'm looking at my own video window to see what you can see and point to things. So just the way you might do Picture Talk, you're asking about, how many cats do you see? Is there anything not a cat in view? Yeah, I see like hands up. So, and so again, if I'm getting action or reactions from students, either those visuals or typing it into the screen. If you have a very small class, having their audio on and just calling out answers can work. I've usually had small classes, like 8 to 10 people at the most. And so that's fine. That works fine. I want to try something a little different. So I'll give you a question. I'm going to do breakout rooms. I've never tried it. Let's see what happens. And I'm not sure, for those of you who are non-video participants, I think you might get assigned to a breakout room too. I'm not sure. We'll find out just right now. So in your breakout rooms, talk about how many cats and what other creature you see in the picture, if anything. I'm going to give you about 10 seconds to do that. And then I'm going to have you come back and one person from each group will tell what you found by voice. Okay? You're good? I need a thumbs up. Okay, okay, I see lots of thumbs up. Okay, let's try this. Now I have the options to break 23 participants into as many rooms as I want. I'm gonna give you 2 or 3 people per room, so 8 rooms. Here we go. I have, the other thing I'm seeing as I do that, I'll show you how I got that setting on there. It's not automatic in Zoom. At the very bottom of my screen, it says breakout rooms, and that's what I'm going through and selecting. So it's now listing who will be in different rooms. So you can actually even, I think you can even change it. Yeah, you can move it. So you can see what students would be, what group they would be in. You can also set these up in advance in a different setting in Zoom, which I'll show you again later. Yeah, let's see. Did it work?
Oh, okay.
And I'm curious because I still see all of you on the video screen. Do you see each other? Yeah, and now I see like lots of people's video windows just went out. So I think it must take some time to get you into your breakout rooms and see you. Yeah, I get it. Okay, what I'm seeing on screen says things like Annie hasn't joined or things like that. So people who haven't yet, maybe you have to select that you're in the breakout room. So I can also broadcast a message to all. I'm going to do that. I just said hello by a chat window, I think. I'm not sure. And I'm going to close all the rooms. Oh, they'll close in 60 seconds. That's interesting. Okay, so it looks like you're going to end up with at least 60 seconds of breakout room time if you select breakout rooms, which is not something I've seen listed in the information in Zoom about breakout rooms. So that's interesting. So my thought was like, it's like a quick turn and talk. If you use those in your own classroom, you can do that. And we'll wait till we get everybody back in here. Yeah, somebody asked about my whole configuration changed when I first shared my screen. Yes, what happens is all of a sudden your students will see this, whatever you're sharing on screen. They may or may not see the video windows anymore, but that is an option, I believe, that they still can do that. I still see video windows, but fewer of them. I don't see everyone, and I see them off to the side or up at the top. So you as the leader of the meeting can still see all of that stuff. Yeah, we should all take a screenshot of what it looks like when we're students. Not a bad thought at all. That would be, I think, very informative. So you know what your students are going to see. So it's nice that you've got at least some of both views, so you know how they're going to, what they're going to experience. So this is one way to share an image. The other way is way simpler. I just have a picture file open on my desktop. I open them in advance of the class period because I found if I have to search for that file while I have the meeting going, it's dicey. It takes longer to load up the picture and it's harder to get. So I'm going to share an image the other way by just doing screen share. Oh, actually, let me show you where. No, never mind. I'll just share the actual image, and we'll do a little bit of a picture talk with that. Oh, not the one that I wanted. Yeah, so you're experiencing along with me, who's done this for years, how it doesn't always do what you wanted it to do. Hang on one second. I think I do have to open my, yeah, I do. I have to find my picture file again. Yeah, this is the thing that I was just saying, how I hate it when that happens, when I'm trying to get a video or a picture file to open. Yeah. Okay. I had a better one all selected, but I'm going to go with one that is just going to be easier to do because I can grab it. Okay. I think, it says my screen sharing is paused. Let me go back and open that again. Okay. You should in a moment be able to see a different picture. Yeah? Can you give me a thumbs up if you see You're seeing my screen? Okay. It does take a while to get that to broadcast to everybody. And so this is my chicken. So if I were doing this in the target language, I might say like, oh, is she inside or is she outside? How do you think she's feeling? How many eyes does she have? What color are her eyes? If you can get that kind of specific color. What sort of animal is she? Actually, can you tell she's a chicken? I'm looking at my video windows and not seeing a lot of obvious visual responses. Yeah, somebody can tell that there's a chicken in this picture. Okay, good. And you can see my cursor kind of wiggling around there. So if I have a picture with more objects in it, you can do that. I've found it necessary to circle it, and rather than just sit the cursor in one place, it's very hard to notice sometimes. So if I want them to look at her beak, I'll circle her beak, or look down at her feet. That kind of thing has been helpful just to make it a little bit more crisp. So there's green screen, picture talk using green screen stuff, picture talk just using a regular photo file, TPR, that was another one. Chats and stories. The reason I did that little breakout room was I was thinking if you had 30 kids in a class all online in the same meeting, you are probably going to find it hard to manage how many voices. One of the things about the difference between a Zoom room and a classroom is in the classroom you can tell, oh, so-and-so called out from over here. I don't necessarily have them raise their hands in a classroom setting where we're just kind of kicking back ideas or something. But if it gets that chaotic, and in the green screen or in the Zoom room, you can't hear which person was it that made that suggestion, and it's very easy for them to talk over each other because you can't feel it. I see that Annie has raised her hand. Awesome. Can you find that on your own windows? It looks like it's on her video window, and then it's also appearing as a little message at the bottom of my screen. It says Annie raised hand. Give it a shot if you can find that raise hand. I can also go in and lower her hand. In addition to changing Annie's name, I can also lower her hand. So yeah, Ariadne, did you find it, or did you found it? Yeah, cool. Yeah, I see Paulino gave me a hand raise. So yeah, cool. Those virtual hand raises are super cool. Yeah, and I'm looking now, there's some questions that came in the chat window, and I haven't been reading them in real time because it's that kind of thing. That's another thing. If they are using that chat window to communicate with you, give yourself built-in time where you've given them a little quick task that they'll do on their own so that you can read. Somebody has a screenshot of the breakout room tab. Okay, I see. Yeah. Remind me of that when I show settings. Yeah. Somebody talking about lighting. I'll show you what I have, and I'll turn off my green screen at this point. I have a rope light up there, but I think whatever you can do should be fine, because we're under weird circumstances. I think if you're there in the long run, it can be more of an issue. I found that on my whiteboard, what was tricky was you can see the glare from an open window. I learned to close the drapes, and then I actually put a big poster in the window depending on the time of day. And so that has helped to reduce the glare. Let me see, should I go on to recording and how to do that and how to share that then later? Yeah, okay. And I see some other questions, but there's so many of them, I don't know that I can respond to all of them right now. So that, yeah, this is the biggest group I've ever had in a Zoom meeting. So like, yeah, I feel it too. Keeping track of everybody is tricky. So with recording, you can set it up in a setting. You can say automatically record immediately when you open the meeting window. So if you're inclined to forget, but you want to be sure you record it, that's a good option. I usually do it manually because I find that I'm logging in a couple minutes early, and then people kind of trickle in and we don't really officially start until a few minutes past the hour. So at the bottom of my screen, I have an option to record, pause recording, and I think that the way that I have it set, you might see that on your own window too. Can you give me a thumbs up if you see that too? Yeah, okay, cool. So if you allow that, then the student will have their own, whatever's on their own screen will be their recorded view. When I record, whatever's on my screen becomes the recorded view. And so if you're needing them to see stuff that's behind you in a big window, you don't want to have gallery view open like I do, which you'll see if you look at the video. You want to have it on speaker view and then have your own window be the main window. So then afterwards in the recording, they'll see those things real big. The way that Zoom works, you can save that video to the cloud if you indicate that. If you want to save it on your own hard drive, you can do that. It takes a long time to process. Like you get this thing where it processes the video. I was scared at first, like the first time I had to interrupt that. I thought, oh no, I've killed the recording. It didn't kill it. It just saved it in this kind of unviewable format, and then I could click it later and it processed it. Like what I mean by time length, it's like if you had an hour-long meeting, it can take 30 minutes to process and to have that video file ready. And then after that video file is ready, you can upload it wherever you can securely keep that video. I use YouTube and I put my classes unlisted. So then I can share the link and they can view it from the link, but it's not searchable. So other people can't find the video. But if you have a classroom management platform, that would probably be way better, I would think, if you can save your video to that location instead. So super helpful for that. And I see, thank you for the screenshot of the breakout room selection tool. Is that what you were looking at? Or your view of the breakout room? No, I see it's Annie that I'm actually talking to.
I don't know whether you can get it off of that. Somebody had asked where the record button was, I thought, so I was.
Okay, yeah. I'll take another one of those screenshots because we found out that I can't just share my own view with you, even though I thought we could. So let me take another snip and I will show you at the bottom of my screen what it looks like. And I'm going to go back over and share screen. So down at the bottom, here's the recording. Yeah. I also selected a closed caption thing, which I found is a new setting within Zoom.
Oh.
Here's the breakout rooms. Closed caption, thinking that if we have ASL teachers who are deaf, who want to be able to watch this video and see subtitles for it, I'm hoping that it'll automatically do that because this is in English. There's that video window again and the mute there. Polls is something I set up for the first time today as well, but I haven't tested it out. So I'm going to skip that one for now because I think the settings are going to be more helpful to you than getting that extra trick. So mainly, if you can get people to log in at the same time, you know how to cope with all of their video windows and how to let them respond to questions you have, you're doing amazing. And if later on you want to add polls and stuff like that, there are options. So what I plan to do is I have several screenshots from within the Zoom. When you have a Zoom account and you sign in and you want to set up a meeting, there are settings. And a few of them, just a few of them, I think are helpful enough that you probably might want to use it. So let's see if I can get that to share. Yeah, I think I've got it. This may or may not be exactly the order in which you will see them in the Zoom settings. So I apologize for that. Oh yeah, okay, it does. It says 1. This is the first thing. So as you're going inside Zoom in the website when you sign in to schedule a meeting, there's also the option in settings. These are inside settings, and then in the meeting basic. So the chat window here was the thing I was talking about. You can prevent participants from saving the chat. You can allow them or not allow them to send something that goes to everybody. So if you have that turned off, they can't send things to their classmates by chat window. And I'm seeing people chat, but while I'm screen sharing, I'm not able to get in and look at the chat messages myself. So bear with me with that. Private chats, you can turn that off as well. And in fact, I can't remember if that's an automatic setting or not. But if it's automatically allowing one-to-one private messages, you might want to turn it off. Kind of like letting kids whisper in class, potentially. Those are the main ones on this screen. Let me go to another screen view of settings that has been helpful. Yeah, so I think you should see one that now says polling up there. That was that one that I wanted to add, that if you have a big class and you want to do a lot of asking questions and getting responses without getting overwhelmed by trying to read visually off of everybody's video window or having them call out or chat window, the polls can do that for you. I haven't tried it, again, because my own classes have been so small. Yes. Yeah.
Can you do the polls just to see how it works?
Yeah, let's give it a try. So I am clicking the word polls on the bottom. It's letting me ask a question, and now it's sending me to the Zoom website to manage a poll and asking me to sign in. Okay, I'm not going to do that right now. So I think maybe if you had polls, you want to set those up in advance. It looks like maybe those poll questions are something that if you have ready to go, it will just pull in from stuff that you've had saved. So that's good to know. Polls maybe are a little bit more complicated. Maybe the breakout room and then ask one person to report back is going to be better for getting, get everybody to be able to talk and to give an answer without doing too crazy. Let's see, settings. Yeah, so this is why I prefer the green screen too. I mean, are you feeling the awkwardness like I am, or is it just me?
Nope.
No? Okay. Oh yeah, we've got the polls one. So screen sharing too. You can have students able to share screen or not. Another thing that can be helpful. Then let me see, there's another couple of those windows that I think are worth noting. Nope, chat, we saw that one. Let me close that.
Okay.
I heard a voice, but I missed what you said. Can you say it again?
Right. That's where you set up the breakout rooms also.
Yes. And you can select if you want to have them assigned to a breakout room or if you have it randomly done. And as I saw that come up, I could move people even though it was random. So that was also helpful. Let me go to the next one. So yeah, whiteboard. Whiteboard might be, it's kind of, to me, it feels a little bit more advanced. I do use it, but I think it a little bit more advanced. This remote control means somebody else can mess with the stuff that you have on screen. Let me get the last one. Yeah, here's the breakout room. Did we look at this one yet? I'm so sorry. I feel like I'm so flaky, but here's that virtual background thing. Let's say you find, okay, it's too distracting. They're constantly clicking virtual backgrounds or something. You can turn it off. You have to do it from within the settings, not within the meeting, I think, but you can have that available or not. And then, let's see if I got.
So that's what I was saying, Diane. And can you go back to that screen?
Yes.
That the first time I tried to use breakout rooms, I didn't realize that I had to have set this up in Zoom ahead of time.
You're right. Yeah, thank you for emphasizing that. Yeah, if you want to do that, you have to go into the settings first. You can't do that directly out of the open window of the meeting itself.
And it didn't, we had to end the meeting and restart it for it to kick in. So
yeah, I believe it. Let me find my last couple of screenshots of settings, because I know there were a couple of things that I thought were helpful in there. This one is one that I was thinking of. Attention tracking. This gets to more advanced settings, they say, but if you are being required by your school to ensure that students are paying attention in an online meeting, that might be useful. It will tell you if they have their Zoom window in focus, or if they're looking at some other thing on their computer or on the phone. And so I haven't had a reason to need that either, but that is another possibility. And I think there's one more. Oh, no, okay. I think I've got all the settings that I was hoping to show. So when you open that in Zoom and you start scanning, it is a long list of options. And most of them aren't really important if all you're doing is just, let's have a meeting and survive. But some of them, because it's school, you might want to look up some of those. So I'm going to use this video and post it online. So I'm sure that number of things flashing on screen was too fast, but it'll be there to go back to later on. So let me see, do we have last questions? Oh, and then somebody asked me, I wanted to do this for free, but someone asked if, like, can we pay you? So if you would like to donate, sure, that's super. I use PayPal, but don't feel obligated at all to do that. Do you have questions before we sign off? I see a hand up from Paulino. Do you want to ask a question?
Oh, I was going to answer a question.
Oh, yes, please do.
Someone asked about the breakouts. If you could see what they do, you can jump from breakout to breakout, but you can see all of them at once. So you can visit each of them and then go back to the main room if you want to.
Oh,
so
awesome.
you can do that.
Yeah, and if you look at this video later on, you'll see what my view was. It was like all of a sudden people started popping off screen. I'm like, oh, I guess I don't see them all after all. And then, yeah, good to know that you can go and check in on different groups. Cool. Yeah. Zoom is free, or is it free for basic services? They've made it available to K-12 education for free. The CEO, Eric Yuan. Wonderful. Yeah, I think it's way more stable and has more options than anything else I've used online. Also, like something like Skype, you have to have an account that you connect your accounts to, kind of like being friends on Facebook. I don't think that's good for just liability in school. And this allows you to just share a link. You don't need any email address. If you have some place, you can put the link to meet on a classroom management system. So, yeah. Let's see, I'm looking at questions over there. How do I feel about Google Meet? I haven't used Google Meet. I have used Google Hangouts, and it's never been stable. I've never had it work. The audio breaks up, the video windows break up. Some people can't hear anything from anybody else. And I've tried it several times. Every time it had major problems. I've only had one really wacky thing happen with Zoom, and it was last week. I got bumped out of my own meeting, but it automatically reloaded me in. And within about 30 seconds, I was back in. All of my students were still there, so the meeting kept going. And so they didn't get bumped out. So that might have been because I have the setting when I teach. I have it so that they can join the meeting before I get there. And I don't know if that would be different if I had it so that they had to wait for me to be a part of the meeting. I don't know. Looking at other things. Yeah, how do you share a file from Google Drive? I download it and put it on my computer because I have such a weak internet connection. It can be kind of crazy and funny for me to use anything directly off the web while I have my Zoom window open. My computer processor is okay with it, but it's our bad Wi-Fi out in the countryside. So it's just not limited. Oh, that was the other thing I was going to say. Like some of the classics, like people often do things with videos and movie talk. I don't use them that way at all anymore. I just do screenshots from the video. We talk through those like picture talk, so they're either here in the green screen, or I share my screen and I use my cursor and we're talking about the things on there. And then afterwards, I send them the link to the video, so then they can go see that on their own time. Oh, another oddity about this is if you are recording your video file, if you save it to YouTube and you have any song playing at any point in time in your class, they will find you. I don't know how they do it, even if it's an unlisted video. I played a song once, part of a song in a class, and I had a recording that I then uploaded unlisted, and the record company noted, and they didn't make a protest because I guess it didn't look like I was trying to make it my own thing. I don't know, but it did note that I had that music file as part of my video. So don't maybe play the music, let them hear it on their own time, and then you use the lyrics and do things with the lyrics live, interactively, in any recorded live meeting that you have. Yeah, someone said I choose save to cloud, otherwise more difficult to share. That can make sense. And someone said too, in the settings, you can have a recurring meeting so that you don't have to set up every single one. Yeah, just tell it recurring, and then you can tell it like, it's not indefinitely, I don't think. I should have taken a screenshot of that. That will allow you to do either every day, like every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 2 p.m. You could set it that way, or you could do it so that it's just open and available all the time, and it's you use it whenever you want to.
The only thing I would say, if you're using the same link for different classes, students might want to test and come into a different class. So that's why you probably should enable the wait in the, what is called
like
the
a
green
waiting room.
The waiting room. So you can only let people in who is part of the class. You can also bring people out to the waiting room. So right now, if I'm in a class and someone doesn't belong, I can just put them in the waiting room or for a game. So I'm gonna say,
Cool.
Claire, you're gonna get out of the classroom. We're gonna discuss blah, blah, blah. And when you come back, let's say we're doing a game, a guessing game, I can bring you in. But it also works if you have students who are not supposed to be there.
Yeah, that's cool. Very cool. Yeah, I didn't think about that, but if they share the link, anybody can join. It's not restrictive. Yeah, I need to get going because I have a Chinese version of this in about 4 minutes. Any last question? Yeah, thank you. I hope this helped.
Thank you so much. This was very valuable. Thank you.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.